Hey guys, what's up? It's Daniel. For once, this video is not going to be based on marijuana or marijuana usage or have anything to do with marijuana. This story might seem somewhat graphic at points, and the video will be long, so if you can't handle graphic and long, bye. When I was 11 years old, I was at the neighborhood pool with a friend of mine. His name's Marshall. He was my best friend at the time, to be honest. I didn't have many friends where I grew up. And when he came into town, we became close friends quite quickly. Now, there's a brown building, had a gate through it that went into the neighborhood pool. The locker rooms and such were on both sides. There was a hallway up down the middle to the pool. And I was sitting there. I was leaning against the fence because there was a baby pool, which is only about a foot deep, and then an adult pool, which went to about 4 feet deep, so it was still pretty shallow. And there was a short fence right here, and I was leaning against it. Apparently I was leaning on some guy's basketball shorts. I didn't actually realize it. No. He actually approached me and said that it's okay. I apologized, and he's like, "Oh no, man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine, man." Apparently, it wasn't fine. I swam for a little while. He left me alone. Now, as me and Marshall were preparing to leave, I was walking out of the building, and I got about 5 feet out of it. Now, mind you, there's a parking lot over here, and then gravel sidewalks, and then a really rugged, like messed up, like asphalt sidewalk that had been messed up over years, cracked, there were bumps in it. Parts where tree roots had grown through it. Now I got to the point where the gravel sidewalk, which was fine, hit the point where the sidewalk was torn up by roots and such. And I felt a sharp pain in the back of my head. Got punched in the back of the head. I turned around real fast. The guy didn't manage to hit me in the face, no. Turned around real fast and saw Marshall kind of running after me to try to help me. And saw a guy punch him in the back of the head with what looked like brass knuckles. Really messed up his skull. Like as in, well, not skull, but it was a huge lump. Bill H2O. Well, there were about 4 or 5 of them actually joining in the assault against me. And mind you, my head was bouncing off of that rough gravel sidewalk, which felt like an eternity. I couldn't see, my eyes went black, but I could hear everything. I could feel every hit. Now, they were hitting me mainly on the sides of the heads, like right where the temples are, and along the side and the back. And they just wailed on me for, what felt like an eternity. Actually, what saved me from getting beat to a living pulp was a lifeguard running out that I'd known for years. He's a family friend. And stopping it. Now, what made me lose a little faith of humanity was that there were at least 20 people sitting around leaning against the wall, the fences and shit, watching. Doing nothing. I was innocent. Doing nothing. Me and my friend Marshall were completely innocent. No. These crackers are delicious. That was the first time I got jumped. There's a series of at least 11 times. Some of them I don't even remember. There are 3 that stick out to me the most. 2 of them were in that same spot. But the second one was after summer. It was actually 3 people. And those 3 people I hope are dead or in prison now. One of them I know is in prison for rape. They actually raped a 18-year-old mentally retarded woman that had the mentality of a child, which, by God, I mean, everyone else probably agrees with me. He can burn in hell. Not only for what he did to me, but what he did to that woman. So, I hope that needle treats you well. The second time, it was right after everyone had gotten done with their summer barbecues and such like that. And there was a huge pile of charcoal from the grill, public grill. And I'm trying to remember exactly how this went. If I remember right, 2 guys, which I didn't recognize, but apparently were part of the first time I got jumped. I didn't recognize them because, well, I didn't see much during the first time I got jumped. They were after me again. I was just walking. Okay, there's a school recreation center right here, and there's a staircase that comes up. It's on a hill. And I'd walked up the stairs, and I was walking down the sidewalk, and I got to the point where the building was. And then they came out of nowhere. They came out of the park, through the gate, and then got me. And I remember specifically just getting hit in the face multiple times. I never got bloodied, but just huge bumps everywhere. And I remember them specifically gagging me with charcoal. They had my head against the curb of the sidewalk, where the parking lot met the sidewalk, and gagging me with charcoal until I would tell them where I lived. Alright. I was saying, sorry. I wasn't thinking straight. I was beaten up. My head was just not in the right place. I had charcoal in my lungs and in my throat. And after they ran off, because basically I played dead, man. I was hoping they'd just run off. And they ran off. And I wandered through the park to my next door neighbor's house. I don't know why I didn't go to my house. I don't remember. Probably just freaking out wanting to get to the closest house. To my next door neighbor's house. And of course, they took care of me and stuff, called me EMTs. One second. Sorry, I thought there was cannabis in my pocket. I was going to be happy. Where was I? Oh. Sunday. This happened on like a Friday. Sunday, they showed up to my house in a group of what had to be 5 or 6 people. Maybe more. Now, I respect my mom for this. Me and my mom got in a lot of arguments, but she stood up to defend me. I was too scared to go outside. I locked all the doors. But she basically said, you screw with the mama, or you screw with the baby bear, you screw with the mama bear. And she went outside. I ran upstairs, was on the phone with the police, and holding my dad's 12-gauge shotgun at the same time, kind of pointing it out the window until they could see it because the shades were down. But I remember my brother coming home and his Thunderbird, his old Thunderbird, freaking out because he had seen the cops speeding up. Because this was, we called the cops. The cops finally got there. The guys were running off. My brother saw the cops. Came to the house and wondered what was wrong. So I told him what was wrong. And mind you, I know at this point where these people live. I live on the street I actually was born here, where I lived where I was born. And told me to take him to the house. This is one of the best memories I have of my brother. I remember him throwing a baseball bat in the trunk. And the entire ride over there, which was only a few blocks away, blaring fight music by D12. He was ready to whoop some ass. They weren't there. They just weren't there. And, well, basically what happened after that, was the time I got jumped when I was 16. I also, well, for most of my friends, you know about my left knee. If someone wants to know about it, message me and I'll tell you about it, but too graphic to tell on here, honestly. I don't want to tell it on here. I don't want to say it. I've said it a lot. But, messed up my knee pretty bad. Knocked my knee out from under me and I hit my head into cement, which I think you guys can probably get what's going on there. The next time it was a bunch of people I didn't even really know. So yeah, I was walking through that park, and seriously, I should have learned after a while not to walk through that park, right? I was walking through that park, and some guys at the shelter, which was a good 50, 60 feet away from me, yelled at me, "Hey man, you got a light?" And I'm nervous at this point. I don't know what to say, so I say no. And then they started walking towards me, and I'm like, oh, I might have something. I didn't know what to say. And when they said no, forget about it, I turned around and I started walking on my merry little way. And I heard feet running up behind me. Now, I ran all the way through the baseball field, all the way through the what looks like a soccer field, really it's just a big field, down the hill, across the street, and up into a neighbor's yard. Real big mansion's yard. And for this area, mansions are rare. I remember getting the hell beat out of me by a few people while a child watched from the window and said nothing. Not even say anything to the parents. I lost more faith in humanity this day. One of my memories from that attack is a big fat guy ran up, pulled both of his feet up, and just stomped me in the side of the head. I was basically on the ground trying to guard one side of my body. Basically like this in the fetal position, trying to guard one side of my body so at least one side of my body didn't get fucked up. And I remember my temple was popped outwards. I was just black and blue, couldn't walk. It was just so messed up. And I remember trying to wander down that street asking for help. And people would be out in their yards or on their front porches or watering the grass. And I'm stumbling down the street like a zombie, begging for help, muttering for help, and they just watched. Just watched as I walked past, all beaten up. There's a lot more to my story. The thing is, what didn't kill me made me only stronger. Helped me to realize that what I went through, I can help others get through what I went through because I have knowledge about it. I've been through it. I've been there, done that. And I don't want anyone else's life to be ruined just because they're there, just because they're a random person, an innocent human being. That's not okay. So guys, I just want to tell you, if anyone ever has a problem or needs to talk to someone or is suffering or is going through something that they really shouldn't be going through or shouldn't have to go through or too innocent to go through, I'm always here. Sometimes I might seem like a really big jerk, but I'm not. I'm always here for people if they need me. Sometimes other people's happiness is more important to me than my own. I just wanted to get that message out there. The world can be brutal, but you gotta stand up and you gotta do something about it. Have a great night, guys.